So the big thing that Microsoft, for the most part, still has over Sony when it comes to their consoles is the fact that the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X, it seems, play pretty much all generations of the Xbox. The original Xbox from 2001, the 360 from '05, and the Xbox One from 2013 are all seemingly going to work with the Series X. I'll be curious if there are any improvements made or things added like ray tracing. That would be kind of interesting to see that even on older original Xbox games, as developers maybe start to add them alongside of Microsoft's internal team that works on backwards compatibility. But there was something that was mentioned. This is in a blog post that was posted by Phil Spencer on there. It was on the Xbox.com news section, and it was the long write-up that talked about going forward, all the different things they're trying to do with xCloud and Game Pass merging together, for example, their Xbox All Access package they're doing. But they did mention the Kinect, because that was something that people, for the most part, have forgotten about, but I'm sure it's still something that Microsoft had to consider when going to the Series X. We saw the back of it. There was no Kinect port there, and we all kind of thought about that and said, I wonder if that really is the end of the Xbox Kinect when we do move over to this new generation. However, we didn't really know much about that until now. It looks like they are going to leave the Kinect behind. Now, this was part of the write-up here, and it's kind of weird because they have done a lot when it comes to even doing like forwards and backwards compatibility with their controllers and other accessories, but it says your games will not be left behind thanks to backward compatibility. You will be able to play 4 generations of games on Xbox Series X on day one. That makes it the largest launch lineup for any new console ever, with thousands of games to play. Our backward compatibility engineers have spent years devising innovative ways for modern next-gen technology to make the games library you're building today even better at no additional cost and with no work from developers. It's our intent for all Xbox One games that do not require Kinect to play on the Series X at the launch of the console. So that is a roundabout way of saying, hey, that Kinect, that's probably in your closet. I mean, let's be honest. How many people really have the Xbox One Kinect hooked up to their system right now? It was popular when it came out on the 360. It sold actually quite a few. There were a lot of Xbox 360 Kinects that moved to consumers, and it seemed like it was a pretty cool thing. It was basically the evolution of the iToy that Sony had on their PlayStation 2 that I remember using somewhat, but I used the Kinect on the 360 much more because it was so new and different at the time, and there was a lot more to it than the iToy. But then came Don Matrick's idea, of course, to package the Xbox One with the Kinect camera for it, the next generation Kinect camera, and that seemed to increase the price. I've wondered a couple of times if they had not put that Kinect camera in there, if they could have even undercut the PlayStation 4 with their Xbox One. Most likely they would have ended up sitting at $400 alongside of it, but there's always that chance they could have been like, you know what, $350, let's do that. But instead, they came out with a system that was $500, had a camera that was hooked up to it with a microphone, and it was able to track you around the room. That didn't sit well with people in the first place. Even if it was the same amount of money, like $400 with the camera, there definitely would have been people who would have been like, you know what, no, I'm okay because of that, right? I mean, do people really want a camera in their house that they are forced to use? Because when it was coming out, they had talked about how it needed to be hooked up at all times. Eventually, they backtracked on that. We had an update, I believe, day 1, I think, or like a week or two after that, that made it so you did not need that Kinect. But still, it was certainly a concern. But really, I think the writing was on the wall after we got an update that allowed you to just use webcams. Like, that was an update that got pushed out to the Xbox One like a year or so ago, I think, and it allows you to just use webcams for streaming, it seems. I haven't tried it myself because I don't stream off of the Xbox One. You usually use your PC with, like, you know, a capture card or something. But there are a lot of people who will use their PlayStation 4 or Xbox One or whatnot just to stream if because it's easier to just set up and do. But once the Kinect wasn't even required to do that, it seemed pretty obvious that Phil Spencer was like, yeah, that's not really something I feel like bringing forward. I just don't think it adds a lot to what they're doing right now, and I'm sure Microsoft looks at that and says, wow, like 10 people are using this thing. Really, I'm sure they have they're able to pull statistics and poll systems and see how many Kinects are actually hooked up. Because trust me, they could have, I'm sure, created an accessory that just allows you to go from the Kinect connector to the USB port on your Series X, and you'd be able to use it like normal. They did it with the original 360, where that didn't have a port on the back for the Kinect, but you could get a cable that would let you plug into the wall and then plug into the USB, and the Kinect camera would work fine there as well. So this is obviously a straight up calculated choice by Microsoft to leave that Kinect behind, and that's, to me, pretty much it. As soon as the Series X comes out, that will mark the end of the Kinect experiment, something that really spanned 2 generations, the 360, half of the 360, and then all of the Xbox One. And I still think it was one of the driving forces in the Xbox One's, we'll say, failure, really, overall, compared to the PlayStation 4. But let me know what you guys think about this. I mean, it's right there. Phil Spencer says, you know what? We're not even going to do backwards compatibility with Xbox One games because we're not bringing the camera forward. Thanks, guys, for watching. Make sure you like the video on the way out if you enjoyed it. Dislike it if not. And I'll see you next time.